Hello, Flat Earth researchers, debaters, and debunkers. Having recently uploaded this video, Flat Earth Liquid Gas Firmament Theory and Phuket Sunset, I have been rewarded with the most thumbs down ever, 935 so far and counting. And this is all thanks to our good globe defending friend Simon Dan, who decided to do a hit piece on this. And of course, call me out for my lack of intelligence and lack of science behind this theory that we have some kind of firmament up there, some kind of barrier, and I'm just theorizing off the cuff here on the beach that this barrier that keeps the pressure in on the Earth could be some kind of liquid. And we know that when it gets very cold, as it does up there, then the gases that we have in the atmosphere could turn to liquid, such as liquid oxygen or liquid nitrogen. And coupled with that is the idea that liquid oxygen and nitrogen do have magnetic properties. And of course, this has been admonished by many of the detractors in the comments section. I especially like this thread here. Who else is here? Because Simon Dan called this unquit out. Countdown to when the comments are disabled. I'll give it 24 hours. No need for me to disable the comment. I'm quite happy for people to see that people will come here and attempt to debunk some theorizing with nothing more than ad hominem attacks and accusations that I'm stupid, and of course a lot of accusations that rely on the narrative they've been given by Simon Dan based on twisting the words that I said. So of course it's understood that gas becomes liquid under certain conditions. They aren't the same thing, and that electromagnetism is very much a part of what's going on up there and within our atmosphere. So yeah, it's all good to see these comments of flagellation, but let's have a look at some of the actual science or physics that this theory of a liquid gas firmament is based on. I'm just going to show a couple of videos from universities that demonstrate the various magnetic properties of liquid or solid oxygen and nitrogen. So this theory is backed by some science, but of course getting the precise words out while standing on the beach and just admiring the sky was really not the same as sitting down behind a desk delivering a scripted and edited narrative. So let's just, without further ado, have a look at those videos from the scientific community that back this idea that gases turn to liquids and solids under certain conditions, and then when they become liquids and solids, they then have magnetic properties. This is not anything that's too far out. It's just based on real science.
Frostbite Theater presents Cold Cuts, no baloney.
Just science.
Hi, I'm Joanna.
And I'm Steve.
And this is a test tube of liquid nitrogen.
And this is a test tube of liquid oxygen.
Let's see what happens when we pour the liquids past the poles of a strong magnet.
Okay.
Now, liquid nitrogen isn't normally magnetic, but each of the nitrogen molecules acts like a tiny magnet when it's exposed to a magnetic field. This effect is known as diamagnetism. That's just a fancy way of saying that each of the nitrogen molecules is repelled by the magnet's magnetic field. So, when I pour the liquid nitrogen past the magnet's poles, it doesn't look like anything special happens. The nitrogen just falls past the magnet. That's because the diamagnetic effect is very weak, so we don't normally observe it. All materials are at least slightly diamagnetic, but because the effect is so tiny, we don't normally notice it.
Just like nitrogen, oxygen isn't normally magnetic. And just like nitrogen, each molecule of oxygen behaves like a tiny magnet when it's exposed to a magnet's magnetic field. Oxygen behaves differently than nitrogen, though. The way oxygen behaves is called paramagnetism. That's a fancy way of saying that each molecule of oxygen is attracted to a magnet's magnetic field. So, when I pour the liquid oxygen between the poles of the magnet, it sticks. And we can even make a little bridge out of liquid oxygen that'll stay there until the oxygen finally boils away.
To freeze the liquid oxygen in liquid helium. The oxygen freezes at 54 Kelvin, and here we have 4 Kelvin, only 4 Kelvin. So it has to freeze, and we put it in here into the liquid helium, take it out, and here it comes. Here is solid oxygen, which is bluish. You can see that here. Blue form, very nice to see. Here also you can see that is paramagnetic. So here we have now solid oxygen. Again, bluish color, it's frozen, and you see it's sticking on a magnet. And at the end, again here we have some solid oxygen. And if we let it go, it just ends up as gas.
So when the so-called scientific community and the institutions that govern them and the people that believe in them have nothing more than empty rhetoric, ad hominem attacks and mathematical models to provide as some kind of explanation for where we are and what this place is, then frankly we are free and should be free to think and theorize about what the possibilities are, and those possibilities are infinite, and we can take aspects of real physics and science and apply them rather than the commonly accepted model that is not backed by any kind of science, just mathematical ideas based on the passage of time and nothing that has any basis in reality or has ever been properly measured or confirmed as being a scientific fact. And when you have people calling out those who wish to think and theorize freely and borrow ideas from real science and attack them for doing so, then what you have is people that are in a cult, and that is a cult of spinning balls flying through empty space, born out of a big bang of nothingness for no particular reason. And the idea that we might be in an intelligently designed environment frightens them so much that their first line of defense is to attack and ridicule those who wish to think differently. So, as we watch this lovely sunset, and see that it is happening above a stationary Earth and level plane as far as we can tell. It certainly doesn't have to be a spinning ball in order for that to happen. Then allow yourself to think freely and ignore those who wish to tell you that you cannot or not allowed to do so. Thank you very much.